What up, peeps? Welcome to the thekisscapadespodcast. I'm your host, John Telewa, aka the Kiss Bandit. And in this show, we explore the key elements that shape our fulfilling existence, from health and well-being to financial success, meaningful relationships, and the pursuit of happiness. We cover it all. Our guests include experts, professionals, and everyday individuals who have remarkable stories to tell. Tune in to learn practical tips, gain valuable insights, and discover strategies for personal growth and transformation. Whether you're seeking to improve your health, build your wealth, enhance relationships, or find lasting happiness, we got you covered. Welcome to today's episode. Another amazing episode with a very, very special guest. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So introduce yourself, tell the people your name and what you do, and then, we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, my name is Adrian Oluoch Otieno. Mm-hmm. I'm a student, a fourth-year student at Chuka University, taking Bachelor's of Law LLB. And I'm a youth leader and also a student leader at the institution. I advocate for the rights of youths in various political platforms. I've worked with various organizations, especially just to voice out the concerns and the challenges that students are facing, and also youths in general in Kenya.
And also, I did my little background research, and just to have a glimpse of even just what you're actually doing. Hold on, I've just realized something as we're going on, sorry.
Lights.
Extra light. Sorry about that. But we're good.
I couldn't notice because the lights were shining.
Yeah, that's the thing actually. And even for me, I was wondering but guys, technicalities, but we still have to keep it moving, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I did a little bit of background research.
All right.
And even just from the recent incident, I think we can start it off from there. And if it's something that you can talk about or not, that's of course definitely up to you. Because I could see the Ian Njoroge incident.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. I think I saw you in a lineup during a press conference, and then I was like, oh, okay, I think you're actually out there more on the ground, with even in touch with what's actually happening.
I've been on the ground for quite some time. The only reason maybe you have not bumped into me is because I just recently started the TikTok. So yes, I started the TikTok. It's about a week old. So, but I've amassed a number of followers up to about 5,000. So maybe that's the reason why you bumped into it.
Yeah.
But I've been involved in a number of cases ever since I started taking law. It's because I've recently worked with law firms and also other human rights organizations. So when it came to the Ian Njoroge case, the real reason why I had a first-hand experience to it is because I'm attached to Milimani law courts and I'm a student there with the supervisor, the magistrate who's our supervisor. So the court in which we were assigned, Ian Njoroge was supposed to be there for plea taking. So he was brought, in which he pleaded not guilty to the charges in which he was being fronted by the prosecution. In which he said that he did not assault the cop and all that. We understand how plea taking really works. So the real reason why it became interesting to us as law students is because the prosecution made an application to deny him bond or bail. That is where now all the drama started. Because the real nature of the bail and bond application is that it is a constitutional right. For you to be denied, there has to be outright compelling reasons to show the court as to why the person would not show up in court. That is why it is surprising that when you see murder cases or people who have been accused of murder, they're actually freed on bond or bail.
Always, yeah.
It's not because we are looking at the morality aspect of the law. It's because it's a constitutional right.
Yeah.
And the freedom of a person will always matter. And there is a principle in law that we call the presumption of innocence.
Yeah.
So whenever you show up in court, we will always assume that, one, you're innocent.
But now even why I would want to ask jump in there and ask a question, it's because like now as an outsider,
Okay.
and at times that's where the law gets a bit tricky when we're trying to figure out like the details as outsiders, because like
Yes.
for us, we're not like the law experts, but we can clearly see like on video, Ian like just punching the officer. And then now in law terms, you're supposed to say allegedly, when we can see clearly in the video, he's punching the cop until he's down, like almost unconscious kind of.
Yes.
And then also like another thing also, and I'll just voice it as an outsider, as
you have
someone
the
who's just, because yes, lawyers are doing their job, but I also, from my point of view, is looking at it as it also becomes dangerous for other young people because they think if Ian has done that and he can just say I'm not guilty and get away with it, then why can't we? And even after that, there have been other incidents, like 2 or 3, where people are just like now slapping cops around. Because without thinking about repercussions, like, but from how I've grown up, like just even in this country, I've just come to, I never want to do anything to do with the cops. Because for one, we know they have the power of, like, we've seen extrajudicial, like,
Yes, the extrajudicial killings.
Yeah, they literally, they can, not unfortunately or fortunately, they have power to actually manipulate some things in their end. So now we can't really push on Gen Z thinking that it's okay to actually go out there and if you can't control your emotions, you can actually beat up a cop. Because now it becomes dangerous because there'll be a scenario where cameras won't be around. And if the cops are there and they want to manipulate the situation to something different, it's also going to be unfortunate for the student who, when Ian is running away free, that's just my concern also. But like, just, if we can dig more on that.
I'm getting on, definitely.
Especially so the frames.
There is no problem with you voicing that concern.
Yeah.
It's true. Even the prosecution had that concern. The fact that the video trended countrywide and everybody had an opportunity to see it. The problem is that it shifted and many people were calling Ian a hero. So they also raised an issue of it being a matter of security, national security concern, in which they said if we release this individual today, then there would be other attacks that would be perpetrated towards the police based on the notion that this is what you're supposed to be doing in order to call out the rogue police officers. But in law, when you come to the question that you've just asked about you being or having a chance to see the exact video of what Ian did, and
because we can see.
Yes.
So where does the law apply?
And definitely come to the conclusion that Ian is guilty. Is that what you say?
I think he's guilty.
No. That is not really how the law works. First of all, there is certain things we call the international principles of justice. And one of the most important international principles of justice that has dated back to the Greek period or the Roman period, or even the King's Chamber that was invented in England, in which they were solving cases in a court manner, that has been adopted today, is the presumption of innocence. And if we are a smart person, when you're dealing with any dispute, the best thing to do is to get the perspective of both sides. And what better way to get the perspective of both sides than being neutral?
Even when and that's why I'm saying, like, even at times for someone like me, I just don't understand the law because we can see it.
That is the rationale of actually the principle of presumption of innocence. You have not heard whatever the other side have said. Because look at the case of Ian Njoroge. Have you asked yourself if there was provocation that led to his actions?
Now, that's where, let me respond to that. Even if the cop provoked Ian, is it okay for him? And even this is just to clarify. Is it okay for just a normal citizen to put their hands on the police?
Okay, it's fine. Morally speaking, it is not okay. And of course also in law. But you must also understand that there are a lot of people who are freed based on mitigating factors in law. And one of the mitigating factors can be self-defense. That is number one. And another mitigating factors can be provocation. So we have seen cases whereby someone has done something provocative to someone. Maybe he has tried hitting him. Maybe he has also tried uttering a certain word. And if it is well outlined in the evidence, it is quite enough to warrant the innocency of the suspect.
Okay.
That is what we should also ask ourselves. Did the cop also try hitting on Ian?
But here, I still go back to, we've seen it on video.
Yes, we have.
And also, like, what's the situation right now with the case?
Oh, okay, the situation with the case. Okay, when it comes to Kenya, most people, the surprising thing is that I believe this is a statistic that is coming out of my head. 70% of Kenyans do not know the meaning of bail or bond. Have you come to know it?
Actually,
surprising.
I don't know.
I also did not know the meaning of bail or bond while I was young, or maybe even just young, or in high school. I used to think that if someone is brought to court today and they say we have given you a bail of about 100K or a bond of about 1 million, you are free or ready to go. But most Kenyans also don't understand that.
Yeah, break it down for us now. So, like just normal citizens.
Yes, like just normal citizens. So bail and bond, or bail or bond, the primary factor for it is that we have to make sure the accused person shows up in court. The fact that we are presuming this person is innocent warrants us not to put him in jail.
Okay.
Yes, he's still innocent. So we should not take away his freedom. So what do? We have to put a certain condition or a certain bait into the situation to make sure that this accused person shows up in court. So that is where the bail comes. So bail is actually in form of cash.
Okay.
So they will tell you have to pay 100,000 Kenya shillings. You'll deposit the cash with the judiciary at that day, and then you'll be released. So bond is actually in terms of asset.
Okay.
You're seeing the point? It is not cash. When they tell you we have given you a 1 million bond, then you come with 1 million cash to the judiciary account to pay it, you'd be rejected. That is not what really happens. You have to come with an asset value that is above that amount or almost same, but it should not be below it. So for the case of Ian Njoroge, he was given a bail of about 700,000.
Yeah.
Then, fortunately, we saw Sonko volunteering to give his logbook.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he did. He gave his logbook to one of his cars. It was about even 5 million shillings and above. So you see?
So Ian is out?
So Ian is out. Ian is free.
Waiting
for what we call now the trial itself.
Okay.
The trial now. So the bond, it has to be an asset. And the asset does not really mean that you have to bring it itself to the court. You have to bring something, paperwork, a documentation that verifies the asset, now to transfer the ownership or the rights of that asset to the judiciary. So if you have a land right now, you transfer the title deed to the judiciary.
Oh, when you're doing the bond process?
When you're doing the bond
process.
You'll
transfer the name?
You'll not the name, you'll transfer the title.
The title.
Not the name, definitely not the name.
Okay.
If you transfer the name, that will mean you're changing the ownership itself.
Okay, true.
But that is
the title.
That is something like an encumbrance on the land itself.
So that in case you disappear, first of all, does that mean you'll forfeit the land as a penalty?
So this is the interesting thing about bail. If you miss to show up in court even once, just once, and there are no clear-cut reasons as provided in the law, they forfeit the things the asset that you have given it.
So it's gone.
It's gone. Absolutely gone. I had a friend. Who willingly volunteered to give his land, the title, to the friend. The land was about 3.5 million, somewhere in Siaya County. Just to a friend whom he knows ever since he was in campus and also high school. But the problem is the friend was also notorious, and he was afraid that there was enough evidence by the prosecution in order to put him guilty. But the friend was somehow blinded by the friendship, and he decided to give out the title deed. And the friend did not show up in court. Guess what happens?
So the land has gone.
He lost his land.
And the guy is still being...
and the guy is still pursued. So this is the interesting part. When the judiciary forfeits your land, the bond that you've given, is that an arrest warrant is issued on you now. Now they have to look for
just
you.
Double the trouble. Like, what's even the... Okay, I get it.
They have to look for you. And the next time you're going to be applying for release or bail or bond, that will be a compelling reason. You would not be given into it.
Because the first time they gave it to you, you proved that you can clearly be trusted.
You be trusted.
Okay.
So that's what happens. So they will detain you for as long as they want in the remand prison. That's why you're seeing people in the remand for even over 10 years.
Because they actually were given a chance or opportunity to actually just
and
act right, and they did not.
And they did not show up. So the friend lost the entire land just to that.
That's very unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate. That's why I keep advising that if you are going to be helping a friend in terms of the bond to ensure your asset, make sure you're certain the person is going to show up.
Well, I don't think I'll trust any of my friends with any of my assets. I would take my chances with maybe, let's say a sister, mother, because now they know these are family assets. We don't want us to lose generational wealth. But I think with a friend entirely, even if you trust each other, there's a slippery slope. Because even if you're my friend and you want me to set the bond, with whatever assets that I own, I think you also have to give me like collateral for something.
Exactly.
You have to give me something, because otherwise, I know it's friendship, yes, but I'm not willing to lose like generational wealth because of your incompetence in something that you're doing.
Yeah, in fact, that's a good idea. You have to give collateral.
Yeah.
If I was maybe giving you your land, maybe get me your car for some time.
Exactly.
So that I can be certain that if you do not show up, maybe I can recover a certain amount.
At least a percentage. Even 50% is okay.
Okay, but losing your entire land because of someone's actions really
it's never that serious.
And when the guy went to the court,
he
was in tears. He was really crying to the magistrate. But the law is the law. That is the big thing about it. You promised the court that you would make sure this person shows up in court. You gave out your land. So we are not going to give out your land. Because fines, forfeitures made on bond, or even cash bills are also ways in which the government earns revenue. There is a very huge amount of money that the judiciary earns from that.
When they're getting such things like just property, assets, when they're being forfeited, right?
Yeah.
Where does this money go?
It goes to the state.
Now that's the state property.
That's the property of the state now.
Jeez.
Now the state has to budget on what are we going to be doing it. If you had a cash bill of even 700,000, that is money to the state. Now it is taken to the treasury and then it is allocated to other sectors of the economy.
Oh, so it's not the judge who's keeping the money.
It's not the judge who's keeping the
money. So you know how ordinary mwananchi is. Like, us, we always like, hey, man, he's taking the money. So
that's the problem. I saw if you love being on X, you've seen Cyprian Nyakundi recently just exposing judges for their corruption and all that. Of course, we do not have evidence, but I've seen a comment where someone is saying, judges are receiving so many fines and bails and bonds, they're eating it.
Yeah.
But that's not really how it works. In fact, a judge would never even have access, or nobody in the judiciary, anyone who works in the judiciary, would ever have access to the money that is paid to the judiciary.
Fair enough,
Yeah, it directly goes, through the judiciary, it directly goes to the treasury. Okay. So, in fact, they do not even take cash itself. In fact, most of us say it's cash, but they do not really take cash.
It's like a transfer or something?
Yeah, you transfer it to the bank account of the judiciary, in which the treasury is also monitoring the funds. So a lot of people are misconcepting it.
But you also have to understand, like the ordinary mwananchi doesn't understand or different terms and conditions.
Yeah.
Now another thing that I'd want to pick up on is also what are some of the things that you would say like you represent exactly when it comes to like the student communities or the youth? And that we can touch on definitely things that you think we need to shed more light on.
When it comes to student leadership,
the
student leadership in Kenya has really, really gone down the drain. That is my view. In fact, we do not have a student leadership. It is something that I call caretaker committee.
Okay.
That is what we are having today. We don't really have student leadership. And that was caused by
Let's do this 45 degree
Yes.
bit. Somewhere there. Yeah.
Yes, and that was caused by Garissa Township MP, Adan Duale. He's the main cause of the deterioration
Wow, why would you
in
say
the leadership. Because while he was an MP, he brought up a certain bill. And it was an amendment of the Universities Act.
Okay.
And the Universities Act introduced Section 41. And Section 41 introduces something we called electoral college votes. That's the system that is happening in other jurisdictions, such as the United States of America, whereby there is no an entire universal suffrage or something we can refer to as popular vote, going to the ground, talking to the people, and all of them coming to vote for you. So under Section 41, it provided that schools will organize each other in terms of electoral college votes. So the electoral college will comprise of faculties, academic departments, or schools. So let's say in an institution we have 8 faculties: faculty of law, faculty of engineering, faculty of science, and all that. So out of those 8 faculties, they will elect 3 representatives. So how do you elect them? So they will go to a vote in which people of that faculty will run for a position to represent that faculty.
Or is this what I've seen, like even students campaigning
Yeah.
internally in the campuses
Internally,
and
yeah.
trying to get
So-
students to vote?
Yeah, but it's not what it used to be. I want you to get it right. So the top 3 students from each faculty will be picked. So now we have 8 faculties. So the top 3 from each faculty, 8 times 3 will now have 24 electoral college votes.
Yeah.
So these 24 people will in turn go and vote for something that we call the governing council.
Okay.
Now that is the president of the school, the deputy president of the school, the director of welfare, the director of academics. Are you seeing now?
Yeah.
It used to be different in the times of Babu Owino and other notable figures in politics today
Yeah.
who rose from the same student leadership.
Actually, I think Babu is like one of the prominent names that
Very
has
prominent.
come from like just...
Yeah. In fact, one of the key reasons as to why most people think that Adan Duale tabled the bill in parliament is because Babu Owino was becoming uncontrollable. He had so much power than the
Yes.
entire institution of University of Nairobi. So they tabled the bill. So now the president is now not being elected by the entire institution. Are you seeing whatever I've explained?
Wait, it's not?
It's not. Now the 24 people are going to now vote for the president, the deputy president, and other governing council students.
Oh, okay.
Now it's not the students who are going to elect them. It's not direct.
So it's just the way we can say it's not for the people to decide.
It's not for the people to decide. Now it's for the 24 people who were elected now to decide for the entire institution.
So if any of them has been compromised with,
Money.
whatever, exactly.
Or
exactly.
I like this person because he's from my tribe. And one of the things that fuels delegation system, we call it the delegation system,
Okay.
leave alone the electoral college. One of the things that fuels the delegation system is tribal affiliations.
That's
When I got to campus, and I believe most people have experienced this, on your first day, you're brought there, somebody tells you there is a Luo Community Association, there is a Kikuyu Community Association, for those people who have been in public institutions.
Those institutions actually exist.
Yeah, there is association of a certain tribe.
Doesn't that like just now direct us in so many different especially because it's very sensitive, because this is a stage where everyone is moving to proper adulting, responsibilities, and positions of power. So that
Just
means if you're not from my community...
And you introduce me to an association of my own tribe. And you tell me that if you're going to go into a certain political seat for the university, we have to first organize ourselves into our own tribes. That's the first thing we are going to do. So I was wondering while I was in first year, somebody's telling me, hey, come join the Luo Community Association. It's not bad, of course. I'd love to meet people from a village.
Yeah.
I'd love to catch up on them. But why? Why should that really happen?
Actually,
So,
that's true.
This is the interesting part about the delegation system that most people don't really realize. Now that you have the 24 people, let's go back there. You have the 24 electoral college votes or delegates, top 3 from every faculty. It's very hard for you to get all that 24 if, let's say, I was vying for a president. So what do people do? They're going to form coalitions. Because I'll talk for my institution. What our institution does is this. While people are vying for the faculties, each tribes bring one person to vie for every faculty. So let's say it's faculty of law. Luo community will produce one person to vie there to become the representative. Kikuyu will produce one. Kamba will produce one. So it goes on for other faculties. So when the 3 win, you will realize that out of these 24 people, 7 are Kikuyus, 8 are Luos, 3 are Kampas, 2 are Embu. But the leaders of association are owning them.
Okay.
They're owning, they're saying that Kikuyu Association, we have 7. These are our people. Now these are our delegates. So how do you get that 7 votes?
You actually can't.
You can't. You have to form a coalition with them. You have to say, I'm Luo.
Yeah.
I've produced 4.
Yeah.
Okay, now come with your 7. Then we'll also coalesce with the Embu. They will come with the 3. Then in total, we'd get almost 50% and would win.
And you know what's crazy? It's because it sounds so simple, especially like, let's say, when you're in campus.
Yeah.
But you also have to understand, like, after 5 or 6 years, these are people who come into now, like, the proper power positions.
Exactly.
Because they already know, like, just the system, paperwork, and like you've said, controlling certain positions. They're not just students anymore. These are people like in proper power positions because they even get mentored by now big politicians. And, they're welcomed to join like on board in different places. I'm sure even there's somewhere you're eyeing already right now.
100%.
Exactly. So these people will be already in a position somewhere where they can actually, they have the power to control and make a lot of serious decisions. And that's why I'm always telling people, even like when you're just being in an institution, whether it's college, university, networking, when you're in such places, it's very, very important.
Very important.
Because the people that you rub shoulders with, these are the CEOs of companies tomorrow. These are the politicians, the marketing gurus. Like in the next 5-6 years, they will actually take those positions. So anyone, like just students in general, if you're in campus, networking is, don't look at someone and just say like, am I, like students who say like, I don't like talking to people, I'm a loner. These are people who will be able to make a phone call, do a good recommendation to you. It's like, this is my friend, I've seen him working on A, B, C, and D. You're already in a certain institution. You just make it easy for them. And like we know, like even the job market is not favoring a lot of people now.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of students, we see like stress, depression, because everybody's just saying like, okay, how comes I'm finishing campus, but I'm not, like just your average graduate from campus, the biggest complaint is like, we're not getting jobs. And even the simplest jobs that can be even as just an industrial area place. People are coming for very low entry jobs, and they have like proper degrees.
Yeah, they have proper degrees. I've been seeing that.
Job opportunities.
Manual jobs. People are showing up for manual jobs with a degree, even in actuarial science.
But so even like with you just being like a student leader, like what do you think can be done different? And by different, we have to be practical. Because we know already Kenya and the economy, there is finance bill. People are dealing with so many things. What can possibly be done to shift the climate? Because it can't be done in a day. The way people normally say like, the president, no. But even if the president says tomorrow, I want to change this, it won't change. Like it takes like probably years to change a trend or something that's already taken place and it's in motion.
It's true. That is the biggest problem that we're having in this country. And even as we speak right now, the major discourse that we're having in this country is on the finance bill itself.
Exactly.
There's a revolution that is going on Twitter right now of rejecting the finance bill, where everyone is sharing the numbers of their member of parliament and asking them to reject the finance bill.
Are you in a position to actually, like even now, even before we go back to like, graduates and employment, are you in any position to just give us like something brief on the finance bill and, what people are up against?
Yeah, I've read.
In case they vote for or they're against, because now you're one of the people that I can say definitely, I'm sure you're in tune with what's happening there.
100%. I have to be in tune with the finance bill because it's an act, it's a law that is being passed. So I'm a law student. So I have to be abreast with all the acts and laws that are being passed. So I've read the finance bill.
You've gone through it?
I've gone through it entirely.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so now you have to, because now trust me, you're going to help a lot of people, because even on X or TikTok, people are posting all this, but from like, and you know how crazy this is when you see like even lifestyle influencers talking about the finance bill. When you see like your Forex guys arguing and they're also talking about like a Forex bill. Now this is something that's...
I've seen someone talking about... that I've seen it. It's a meme somewhere that if you see buddies talking about the finance bill, there is something.
There is something. So like if there's an easy way you can just break it down for us, like, on if people vote yes or no to it and how it can actually like affect us even like in the next 5 to 10 years, what are we dealing with exactly? Because you're talking to people like now maybe who are not like really conversant, or even if they want to read it, they might not interpret it the best way possible.
Yeah. We are dealing with a very punitive bill. And I'd come out clear to just say that. So the theme for the budget proposal for the financial year of 2024/2025 is sustaining the bottom-up economic model and improving livelihoods.
When you say that,
that's the theme.
No. When you say that, remember, that's me. I want you to break it down to now for the Instagram buddies, TikTok buddies, and just ordinary people. Because like I think also the biggest mistake you'll even notice, and even what people are saying, like most people are saying, like we just don't understand the terms that are being used in the finance bill because we can read. But do we understand what exactly it means?
It's hard to grasp. Even for me, myself, as a law student, I have to read through the bill at least 3 or 4 times. Because even the bill contains certain economic phrases that I might not really understand. So I have to go reference it back to someone who specializes in economy so that I can also understand. But it is still a law. People can be able to read it. So that was the theme that they said. So there is an economic model of bottom-up in which they want to at least increase the livelihoods of people, especially people who are down below the pyramids of income.
Okay.
So that is the major theme of the finance bill and the budget proposal. But the bill itself, or the proposal itself, does the exact opposite. So I'd like to say something. No MP, especially from the Kenya Kwanza government, or nobody should justify to you and tell you that the budget proposal or even the finance bill, because the finance bill affects our budget proposal, nobody should tell you that it is going to improve your livelihoods.
Okay.
Because the same people who are telling you to improve your livelihoods, they implemented a certain strategy. Now this is where the complexities come. There is something that we call the MTRS, medium-term revenue strategy. And the main aim of the medium-term revenue strategy is to increase our tax base, which in turn increases our domestic revenue. But what do you think that is for? To service our debt, mainly.
Okay.
The major thing that...
So higher taxation for us definitely will mean also we can't really afford some of the basic amenities that we used to actually just enjoy.
Yeah, you are not going to afford it. And at the same time, you're going to work hard so that you can provide the taxes to the government so that they can service the debt.
Okay.
And this is the problem. And especially with Africa. And I'd not really like to get into neocolonialism because it's a very...
That's a whole topic for a different day, right?
Neocolonialism, I don't want to really talk about it because I also have different views. But the major propellant of the finance bill is that we have to meet conditions or regulations that are set by the International Monetary Fund. You know, the problem is that when you go to Twitter, we see Ruto has gotten 20 billion from
certain
the IMF,
funds,
certain funds.
Yeah.
And Ruto comes to you on stage and tells you, celebrate, I've gotten money for you, I've gotten loans for you.
There's something I just want to open. I don't know whether it's possible to, because it was something to do with a breakdown of a salary. I don't know whether it's something that you've seen.
I've seen
the salary breakdown of like 50,000 and how it was broken down to how
to almost half.
By the time, like, in fact, what was remaining, let me just see if I can open it right now so that at least we can talk with, because you can also like just clarify and maybe if it's wrong or if it's right according to, where's this screenshot that I took?
There's been so many. I've also bumped into a lot of
I think
the estimates. Yeah.
Possible pay slip after finance bill takes effect. Gross salary breakdown for Kenyans earning 50,000. And this is 50,000, which is above the average salary of Kenyans.
It's very, very above.
So it was broken down and let's just go with what you have to pay, probably, like I think deductions. Monthly relief, 2,400. Tax income 47,600. Payee, 14,000. What does this even mean? Or am I getting it? Okay. Like just
let me see.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so the gross salary breakdown for someone who's earning 50,000.
Yeah.
Likely someone who's not married. That is what they've written here.
Actually, true. I hadn't even put that into consideration.
Non-married, including the housing levy. So they get a monthly relief of 2,400, a taxable income. A taxable income now, 47,600. Yeah. Then pay as you earn, payee, 14,200, and they deduct that one. So they have an NHIF proposed of 1,620 will be deducted. Another 1,000 for NSSF, a housing levy of 1,428. So after all that deductions, you would be taking home 29,192.
Yeah. And then now you come to like now personal expenses, right?
Yeah.
To utilities now.
The reason why they have said an unmarried person is now they want to calculate how you're going to be spending the 29,192. So for rent, an average house of a one bedroom, especially in Nairobi, in Eastlands, is 10,000, right? Yeah. Electricity about 1,000, fuel and gas about 1,500. Yeah. So bus fare for about, they have multiplied 150 times 22 days, 3,300. Then they've gone to food, some of the most critical food items that you'd never miss in any household.
Just basics.
Yeah, you have unga, 200 kgs, a total of 800, they've estimated. Yeah. Sugar, also 460, which I believe it's even more than that.
It's more.
So we have bread, cooking oil, and also airtime. So after all that expenses, the nitty-gritties of spending in a household, you'd remain with 5,138.
That's madness. Because imagine, we're talking about someone who hasn't even, like, we haven't said internet at Safaricom 4,000 or Netflix, entertainment. You haven't gone to visit, like, friends or family, a get together.
Yeah.
That's not even there. And this is from somebody who earns 50,000. So let's come down now to someone who earns probably the average salary. It's around 20 something, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Around 22, 25 there, if I'm not wrong. So you can only imagine if now we start the deductions from an average salary of 22,000. There is no way possible people will be able to just progress in any way.
You can't progress, you cannot invest.
You can't invest.
You can't invest.
Okay. Because what about school fees here? If you have a kid.
It's not there. They have said this is for a non-married person.
My goodness.
Single and non-married.
Yeah.
And I believe most people who are earning 50,000 and above, they have someone in the household.
Yes.
They have a wife.
Yes.
50,000.
Yeah.
This is what you get. My father used to earn about 80,000. But with that little money that he had during 2000, 2006 there, he was able to invest with the little money and do a lot of pragmatic things.
Everything, even take the family out.
And yeah, definitely.
Buy presents during festive seasons.
Yeah, because most of the deductions that have been introduced right now, they were not really there.
Okay, now my next question would be like when such a bill is proposed, right?
Yeah.
And this is just from like a layman's terms, right? It's the MPs who are supposed to say yes or no to it.
Simple.
So us as the public, we really don't have control to it. And that's why people are encouraging, tell your MPs not to vote for it.
So under Article 69 of the Constitution, it provides for the principle of governance, public governance. And one of the most critical one is public participation. So as a law student, there has been a problem with public participation. In most of the cases, there has been no clear, defined threshold to say now this amounts to clear public participation. Because our biggest involvement into a bill is majorly through public participation, whereby they say that, okay, today we are going to be meeting people at Jivanji Gardens at this time and this time. Please bring your proposal. Let's discuss on this bill and all that. Then table your proposal and all that. But public participation has been seen just as a formality. Whereby they'll say, okay, we're going to be meeting people. If 10 people show up, they don't care. They say, we have done public participation. Okay, now we're going to be passing the bill. So it is the MPs decide, but they are giving you a notion of control through public participation, which is unclear in the law.
So us, we're supposed to go and meet them?
We are supposed to be going and meeting them.
How, when we have 8 to 5s, maybe people, regular people have 8 to 5s, right?
That's what I'm saying. Public participation.
And then this public participation, where there is no documentation we're signing or anything. They're supposed to talk to us, and then we say like, "Oh, this is what we want.
This is what we feel. This is what we want." So that's the
so.
problem.
So then, how? Okay, even like let's just say in general, on X and how people are debating like online. I'm just thinking about it this way: like it's practically useless because we're still not in control of anything, of the outcome. Do we have any? Is there any way we can manipulate, like the outcome? The outcome as the public, even as much as we're crying online.
Revolution.
What do you mean?
Revolution.
We can't go to the streets. I'm not going to the streets with marching torches and everything. Corona already put us in a place where
revolution is the number one way.
But how? What do you mean by
change.
revolution? I break it down for ordinary Mwananchi. What does that mean? Does that mean protesting?
That is even less gruesome.
Because honestly speaking, I think also one of the things where Kenyans are right now, it's like people are so tired because they're thinking like, okay, even if we start protesting, right?
Yeah.
We stop now businesses from running. And a lot of people are doing like, you have your 8 to 5, but you also have something else on the side so that you can be able to meet like basic needs. So even the energy for you to think of stopping and affecting your business in the next 7 working days and affecting that income that's coming is not something that it's up for discussion for them. So, and that's why I'm just trying to say that as much as people are talking like online and complaining, tell your MP. What if the MPs are compromised then?
That is why I'm saying revolution is the best way in order for you to change a lot of things in a country where you're facing oppression.
Okay.
Because I might be saying revolution and someone thinks that's against the law. That is not something that we're supposed to do.
Is it
It's
illegal?
legal. But it hasn't been clear. But if we read the Constitution, the first chapter talks about sovereignty of the people. Most people don't really understand the magnitude of this phrase. And under the Constitution, it says, power belongs to the people. Take, for instance, in a country like Venezuela, if I'm getting it right, but there was a country in which people stormed into the State House and sat even on the president's chair. You might think it's illegal, but that Constitution provides that at all times, the power will always belong to the people. If there happens to be a public uprising in which the people now decide, we are now fed up with certain laws, we are fed up with certain leadership. It is permitted for you to air out your grievances. So that is what I really want to see in Kenya. And I'm excited of whatever is going on X, but the only problem is that not everyone is on X.
Yeah.
We have buddies, we have...
True.
Yeah,
but also the thing is, like, even now, if we still come back to just the finance bill, and just if you can help me, like, understand this. So the person who, or the people who would be pushing for this the most would be who? The president and people around him? Or, like, what, how do they benefit from pushing this bill to be passed with a yes? The
president already benefited.
How? Personally, or are we talking about his
administration?
Okay, his administration.
They had already benefited. Now,
but when you say benefited, what do you mean by that?
When I say benefited,
is because he's working for the people, though. Because maybe when he's saying he's getting, exactly.
Let me say something, and I'll
understand. Like we're talking about ordinary Monenchi needs to understand what different terms mean.
Let me just be controversial to it.
Yeah,
Kenya is filled with corruption. Okay, it's nice, but for you to do the corruption, what do you need? You need money, right?
Yeah.
So if, let's say, Ruto takes a trip to, let's say, Europe and is given maybe a loan of about 20 billion, this loan is going to come back to Kenya and it's going to be allocated to certain ministries and everything. That is where now you have to steal the money and everything. So that's where the benefit is coming from.
Okay.
They have gotten funds.
Yeah.
But the problem is that you have to later pay for it. So as I was saying, that the biggest regulation that the IMF put was that there has to be, this is quite complex, there has to be an overhaul of the Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 of the Income Tax Act, in which by they are going to be introducing VAT to almost everything, finance, banking, education, and all that. Those are conditions that are set there.
Before the money is given.
Before the money is given. When you see Ruto going for any event and you see people are signing something down there, it's not a formal thing to do. It's not ceremonial, as people say. There are conditions.
Terms and conditions that need to be followed for us to actually do this.
The IMF is telling you, you see that act that you've put in place in which you are not taxing banking services. I want you to repeal it.
Okay.
I want you to change it. I want you to tax them now.
Because now things I think it's M-Pesa transactions are about to go slightly higher. Infrastructural bonds, which were not being taxed, they were tax-free. Now, apparently, these are 5% that's being introduced, unfortunately. And also, like, just when it comes to such things, now it means, like we've said, his administration will benefit from that. But now the taxpayers have to pay back the money through, like, now the taxes being introduced.
The taxpayers have to pay. And the problem is that the loans that we're getting, a huge percentage of it we are losing through corruption. A huge percentage of the money we are getting, we are losing through corruption.
Okay, so here's the thing again, and that's why I said, like, as much as we discuss of the things that we want and the things that could possibly take place, do you think, personally, just like, just taking off the administrative hat, do you think personally there is any way possible that we can have a different outcome out of this? Because the money is already there. The tax are going to be introduced because there is no way you can say the government is not going to pay back that money that's already been given to them.
They have to pay.
So the tax is being introduced to us. Do you think there's any way possible that even if Kenyans say they do not want that, because we've said we're losing that money through corruption, a huge percentage.
Very huge percentage.
So what that means is, if I'm not wrong, a lot of members of parliament are already compromised.
Benefiting from it.
Yeah.
Now you asked how are they benefiting?
Yeah.
They are also benefiting from it.
Through the ministries and now...
Through the ministries, through the tenders, and even surprisingly, parliamentarians are bribed in order to pass certain bills.
No, that's why I'm saying when I say compromise, it's because I'm thinking that with that huge sum or those lump sums of money that's coming in, if a certain person is given like an X amount of money, I do not think even your public outcry, like we say, oh, Nani, please, we don't want... If he's already received the money, he knows what his vote is going to be.
Yeah. So that is the problem now we are having in Kenya. People, in fact, people are saying that we do not have a legislature in place. Because if you look at how our system of governance is, is that there are three arms of the government. And the three arms of the government have to be independent in its own self, but they have to be working together in harmony. So in case there is anything that the executive is tabling that is detrimental, let me say detrimental to the citizen, they should be able to freely and independently voice out whatever the people are telling them or what is beneficial to the people. But the problem is that the government is going hard on whatever they're going to pass or whatever they need to be enacted. So how does this happen? They bribe member of parliaments. They threat their member of parliaments.
Or actually, if you decide not to vote for us...
Yeah, if you are a Kenya Kwanza...
We might do something so that, you lose even your position.
You lose your position, or maybe in the next coming election, we will punish you.
Okay.
That is what is really happening right now. So most of the people who are even in Kenya Kwanza government, they know how punitive the bill is. But because of how tough the administration has been on legislatures, they would never speak about it. And surprisingly, just even before you talk, the biggest hypocrites when it comes to the finance bill in Kenya today are ODM MPs.
Really?
Can I tell you why?
Please explain.
I'm sorry to say that, because I'm also an ODM member.
Okay, please explain that.
I'm a member of the ODM. In fact, I have campaigned for a number of people who are in ODM, including Senator James Orengo. They're the biggest hypocrites, because before we pass the bill, they come out to Twitter, they come out to public forums or press media and talk about how the bill is going to oppress us. But when it comes to the day of voting, 60% of them are absent. That is what really happened last time. We were supposed to be passing a certain act. And did you know almost 60% of ODM members, let me say Azimio, they were not present in court. Not in court, in parliament. They were not present.
So we can say they were compromised, of course.
Yeah. So the thing is that we do not even just have to worry about the member of parliament from Kenya Kwanza. We now even have to worry about member of parliament from Azimio, who are supposed to be playing their opposition role very well. I don't want to say the name of the member of parliament, but even Babu Wino was not in parliament.
He was not?
He wasn't there.
Babu. Okay, that's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. But maybe he might have had something. He was doing something.
No, we can't have just like we said, it's like a bond or bail hearing. Like it's just that one day that you're really needed. Because you also remember you're representing the people. It's not just about you. You're representing like a huge mass of people who are raising their concerns. So like now, would it be okay or right for me to say, just by the climate and how things are looking, that this bill is just going to be passed?
The bill is going to be passed.
Chances are very high. Let's say chances are very high. It's definitely going to be passed. And that's due to like all the facts that we're talking about. People being compromised. And then also like, remember, the money has to be paid either way.
The money has to be paid either way.
Yeah.
But the bill is going to be passed. But you also have to understand one thing. And I also got this from the Twitter of Miguna, and he explained it very well. To increase tax base in a certain country, you do not necessarily have to be increasing your taxes.
How? Explain that to us.
You have, for you to increase the amount of money that the government is getting through domestic revenue, you have to create jobs. You have to create favorable manufacturing industries in your own country that can manufacture products in turn. And you have to create an environment for businesses to thrive.
Which none of the above is actually...
Which is not really happening.
Being enforced or even happening. There are no jobs. A lot of manufacturers have been complaining about like harsh conditions. Some companies have had to actually shut down and close shop. So I do not think those are factors that are going to come into play anytime soon, first of all.
Yes.
Because like we said, these are not things that you snap your finger and they start taking motion immediately.
Exactly.
They have to happen progressively. And if now the environment that we're in, we've already established no jobs, first of all.
There are no jobs.
No jobs at all.
No jobs because of the punitive taxes.
Of course.
Because tell me, why is it that a company like Amazon cannot set up a factory?
Yeah, makes no sense.
In Kenya.
Yeah.
While we have a very huge number of youths and a very big workforce, especially very literate and very educated.
True.
Why is it that Amazon, Nike, these multinational enterprises, why can't they set up factories in Kenya?
Harsh conditions.
It's because of the same taxes.
Yeah, harsh conditions. They won't be able to manage.
Yeah, if the government listens to the real problems of the people, if it's about jobs, why don't we at least provide a relief for these companies through these taxes so that we say that, you know what, you come set up your factory here in Kenya.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to be giving you certain reliefs and all that.
Yeah.
But in turn, you're going to be creating jobs to millions of people. So the moment you create those jobs, people are going to be getting income. They're going to be spending that money in our economy. So which in turn makes the economy thrive. It might be a long-term decision, but it is one of the ways to increase our tax bases without hurting the common mwananchi.
Okay, now, and also just even jumping on that a bit, in general, do you think Kenya is able to thrive or survive without corruption? Because let's just be honest.
Hey,
one of the things that, and even people need to understand, let's say ordinary mwananchi is complaining, right? About like, okay, MPs are corrupt, but it comes down to us. And think about it this way, right?
Yeah.
In, let's say, Dubai, you cross the zebra walking, or you jaywalk, like when the lights are still nini, you just run on the road. The fines are hefty. Like even simple things like checking, like, like let's say we're seated here and your phone is down there. You walk outside the room. If I take your phone, that's illegal in Dubai.
Yeah.
That introduces like a fine of like X amount of money. They're just little simple things like bad parking, bad driving.
Yeah.
Also like this thing of like just taking pictures, social media pictures, you get an accident somewhere like Dubai. If you take out your phone and you start recording an accident scene.
Even public display of affection.
All those things.
Yeah, kissing someone in public.
They introduced fines. But as Kenyans, when people say we don't want corruption, are you ready for a cop to catch you red-handed with a traffic offense, your expired license, expired driving license, or insurance, or maybe a faulty light, or you've been crossing the road badly? Are we ready to pay those fines if these things are imposed? Especially traditionally when we're used to corruption. Do people really want a corrupt-free country? Are people ready for that?
People are not ready for that.
They're not ready for that. People are saying like, yes, corrupt, but are you really ready for a cop to get you somewhere and then tell you like, you're going to jail and this is the fine?
People are not ready.
They're not ready.
People are given even notice in traffic to appear in court.
Yes.
They don't show up in court.
Actually, very true. Very true.
That's why I say Kenyans.
Warrants of arrest. How many people, first of all, would be in jail, actually?
A lot of people.
A lot. And we're talking about ordinary mwananchi.
Even simple traffic offenses.
Yes.
If we were to really follow the law, as you've said,
yes,
there would be millions of people in jail just because of traffic offenses alone.
Yeah, because and even think about it, like even ordinary mwananchi, and we're talking about just from those average salaries that we've done like a breakdown. This finance bill is already, let's say, yes, people, want to be corrupt free and everything. All these things are introduced, maybe even different ways of just paying taxes. And then now you are actually sent to jail or like, you are in cell, but there's like a bill or whatever. How many people will be able to afford these fines?
A lot of people would not be able to afford
exactly.
it.
Like somebody will be told like 50,000 or 3 months in jail. I can assure you the number of people who will have to serve those 3 months. Because even if they ask like family members to changa, it's going to be a problem.
It's going to be a problem. Someone would say, just take me to jail.
Yeah.
In fact, you'd be giving me food while
there's
I was
food, there's accommodation, no caretaker is harassing you and everything.
I'm not paying taxes in jail.
I'm not paying taxes. So you can only imagine.
Yeah, that is the problem. It's true. So those are the devastating effects of the bill that is going to be passed.
Because if we really want to live like those countries like Dubai, where we are talking about like those fines are super imposed like in every simple thing that you do, for me personally, I would still choose a pinch of corruption because I've been raised around it, and that's just something that I'm used to. Like even now, a cop, like I've done a traffic offense, they come to me, it's like, listen, like the first thing that I normally do, and this is not
let's talk it out.
Let's
please.
just be real about it. It's like I'm always like, okay, sir, so tufanyaje? Yeah. Like what next?
How much? Give him the driver's license. Then
I have to, because like if I don't,
another license in between, and you tell him, please check it.
Please, afadhali. But it's because that's just something I'm used to. I'm not, and even like I think there's a time I was given I remember me negotiating with a cop, and he told me like, okay, so if I take you to the Nini, if we go to the station, and you have to face the magistrate, your fine is between 30 to 45. And I was like, this cop is exaggerating. It can't be between 30 and 40. And then it's like, but if I get 5, you just keep going on with your business. So I said like, okay, 5 is just too much, by the honestly. I was going on with my business. Let's do 2. He said like, sawa. So which I parted ways with that. And trust me, when I came back home, and I was just doing my Google, it was like, this guy may be exaggerated. I was like, this would have actually attracted a fine of between 40 to 100,000 Kenya shillings. And I was like, you know what, guys?
Leave alone even the fine.
Yeah.
The time that you'd be taking in court.
Time. If you've ever had to face like just that time. Because they'll pick like maybe at 8, 9 a.m. during the daytime. When you're supposed to be doing like jobo, if it's school, you're supposed to be in school, and so many other different things, just personal responsibility.
You fail to come, they issue an arrest of warrant.
So imagine.
You are arrested.
So do you really want, and once you're arrested also, now they come arrest you, I'm sure the fine will be slightly higher. Is that something that you want? Me as a person, me personally as a Kenyan, listen, just give me that corruption I'm used to. I'm not the one who introduced it. I found it here.
Yeah.
So for now, not unless, and that's the crazy part about like, even when we're talking about these things just in general, having conversations, you can't really snap a finger and make this change like right now.
Definitely.
It's going to take like years before like we come into a place where like just Kenya is like corrupt free. Systems are working, because remember, even when you're paying taxes, are the systems that you're paying for actually working the way they're supposed to? Things like NHIF. Now you have like somebody who's in distress, you show up in hospital. Trust me, you show up with that NHIF card, they throw it away.
Most private hospitals do not even take it nowadays.
They'll refuse.
Yeah, they don't even want
and that's sad, because this is like just one of like the basic compulsory things that are tax deductions.
So the way you've said it, now that is the point where now we have to talk about corruption. Leave alone you meeting a police officers on the road, because I always say this one thing is that Kenyans love convenience.
Yeah.
100%.
True.
If there's a better way of doing something, they would go for the better way. So they wouldn't want to go through the technical process itself. If there's an easier way of getting out of it, such as the traffic offenses and all that, they would rather tip the police officers and get away with it. But it reaches a certain point whereby now we just have to talk about this corruption.
Yeah.
100%. Because if a governor can embezzle over 6 billion Kenya shillings meant for the people, you have to ask yourself a question. Is he really trying to get convenience? Is he really trying to get bread?
But here's the thing, and I'll also just try and respond to that. There's no loyalty among thieves. If we opened that door for corruption, you will do 100 shillings, 100,000, 10,000. So when you hear somebody, it's like a thief complaining at that person stole more money than me.
Yeah.
How do you introduce that when you're also like involved in corruption?
Definitely.
You're still involved in like how many people be like, yo, mi sitoi hongo. I've never seen a video of somebody saying like, mi sitoi hongo, recording a cop.
Yeah.
It's always complaining about something else, because after that you'll still pay and go.
You would complain about the hongo,
Of course,
being too much.
in fact, that's always the complaints. Like he wanted too much money.
Much money,
and allegedly, like even if we go back to like the Ian situation, I think there's a video that leaked when they had gone to like pick him up, and the cops now are just like, roughing him up and asking him questions.
And he said that.
Hatukuskizana about
Because
the amount of the
hatukusikizana
money.
pesa yenye nafaa nilipe.
So the cop, mpaka, it's so wild because like he's telling the other cops like, yo, I had X amount of money hakuwa nataka. Can you imagine even that's even like a discussion? And even like I think the cop like always like, we nyamaza. Because it's like, yo, we don't even want to start having that discussion with you.
Yeah, but he made that statement and the cop was like, what are you talking about?
Nyamaza.
Sisi hatuchukui hongo.
But it's so funny because like now it still comes down to like such basic conversations.
Yeah.
We can't complain about a bigger thief stealing more amounts of money if you're still also involved
yourself.
a thief and involved in corruption. So I think it still comes down to us as Mwananchi. Like, are you sure, or are we sure that's something that we want, a corrupt-free country? And if so, we have to understand like rules that are going to be put in place are not going to happen. Those changes won't happen now.
Yeah.
We're talking about things that are going to happen like over a decade probably, minimum. And it has to be introduced with kids who are being born like super young.
Yeah.
Because some of us, like, we're already done. Like me, if you tell me something that doesn't involve corruption, I'll be like, I don't even know what that is. And even think about business owners. For business owners, the ones who are surviving, I'm sure they have like just push an envelope somewhere on the side to some other big administrative positions for them not to be disturbed. And that's just the culture that we have in the country, unfortunately.
It's a culture, just the same way you've said it. It's now a culture.
Yep.
And just look, the way you've said it, a thief cannot call out another thief.
Yep.
Look at the administration in Kenya Kwanza government. They're even afraid to call out corruption.
They can't.
Because all of them are basically stealing.
Yeah, because if you call out someone and then somebody comes with receipts, and I think the best thing that we've had right now, like, and I think one of the best things that we have in the country is like we just have freedom of speech. That's one thing that a lot of people don't understand. Like, I don't think, especially for African countries, do you think anybody can wake up in Uganda and go on Twitter and call out the president?
It can't happen.
In Rwanda?
You are comparing Rwanda. Let me tell you
Tanzania?
something. We enjoy freedom of speech in Kenya
Yeah.
even more than the United States.
Yes.
You know why?
Yes.
Because the United States even censors its own people
Actually, true.
through the CIA and everything,
True.
which is not necessarily even happening in Kenya.
True.
In Kenya, you can go out to Twitter,
Yeah.
put out receipts about a corruption leader and everything. You won't even
And
be
tag
censored.
him. And tag him. And show your face without hiding. And show your face. You're like, Nani,
Yeah.
you stole X amount of
did
money.
this.
You did this and this and this. And you just go on, make your dinner, and
Definitely.
continue like nothing happened. And wake up tomorrow and call out another person.
We enjoy freedom of speech more than so many countries in the world.
Yep.
That is definitely right. And it's also a good platform.
Yeah.
Because now, at least it gives us an opportunity to talk about the critical things
Yeah, that's
in
true.
our country.
That's true.
As we have seen now, the finance bill. If we were so afraid about calling out certain MPs or legislatures, we wouldn't have been ranting right now in Twitter or any other social media platform.
Very
so
true.
it's a plus to Kenyans, and I hope there would be some change, especially on this freedom that we have to air out our views and all those things. So
I personally think, like I keep saying, it just starts with us. For me, culturally, I'm just doing what other Kenyans do. But I know we can do better, because the only unfortunate part, if you're already ingrained in the culture, I just don't know how to do it any differently. Because then it comes to when a lot of people always say like, hey, me, I want to go to like a country like, let's say, European countries, Germany, Poland, Amsterdam. I'm always trying to tell people, because like, I did my first Euro trip like last year, good time and everything. But if there's one thing that's really, really like just, places with working systems and fines for everything. Listen, I don't think Kenyans can handle that. And even people who go outside, when they come back, they thrive so much because they're like, hey, now I can breathe. Hey, I can just bribe someone. Hey, I can just, like other countries out there, like, listen, things are very tough. And like when we're talking about like taxes, we complain about taxes. There are countries where people pay up to 50%.
In fact, there are countries in which
taxes
are viewed tax evasion or anything to do with crimes against what you're supposed to be giving out to the government.
Actually, don't you get jailed if you evade tax in other countries?
They are treated as a capital offense. True. I don't know if people know. I've seen a lot of memes about the IRS of the United States. People don't really understand how the IRS works.
They will come to your doorstep and you will be... Think about like even big icons, people like Akina Wesley Snipes, who are big movie stars.
Trump, who was right now just... He was convicted of tax fraud.
You go to hip hop, Akina DMX. Those people like were actually... And it's just... Trump, it's just because he has like, money, power and everything. And we know how that can also like just control at different outcomes. But so many people go bankrupt in those countries and they come out like scratch with nothing, go back to zero.
Yeah, because of the system that is in place.
That system, if it's implemented, they don't play around at all.
They don't.
And they calculate back to when, like you said, from when he was 18. Okay, now you're 45.
Fact, the IRS
everything
would spend 10 years investigating you for your financial frauds.
And
they would never talk to you. But on a certain day, they come to you, they tell you, this is your penalties.
Yes.
This is what you're going to do. You're going to forfeit this and these items.
Yes.
Let's now go to court.
Yes.
That is just how strict the system is. That's the reason why Andrew Tate was saying that he prefers being in Romania than being in the United States, because there is a bit of corruption that is accessible to most people. The corruption in the United States is not accessible to all citizens.
Nope. It's for those top tier people.
Elite.
Because like we see like even with their... And that's why I keep telling people like as much as we always saying like, Kenya is corrupt. Listen, when you go to those countries, when we're talking about their corruption, we're not talking about small amounts of money. But they do have corruption, because we have like what's her name? Nancy Pelosi, how they can even manipulate like stocks.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi.
They pass a bill today and this person has already bought like crazy amounts of stocks, and then they skyrocket. Someone's salary is like $200,000, but you see their net worth amounts to more than 30 or 20 to 30 million dollars. But you now sit down and break it down. This is just the corrupt, but just for the elite people. It's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone.
So anyone else in between here, if you try, you serve time.
100%.
Jail immediately.
Just like I've said, Nancy Pelosi and all those congressmen in the United States.
Yeah.
Basically what they're doing is entirely just corruption.
It's still there.
In some sense. Because there are certain institutions that lobby for them.
Of course.
And if you're helped in terms of donation for your election, you have to serve the interest of the people who elected you.
And we hear the amounts they get for their donations.
Yeah.
It's not little amounts of money. It's crazy
it's
amount.
Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars.
The normal citizen in America cannot access this. You cannot know that a certain company is supposed to be given a contract by the government for you to invest. It's not accessible.
Yeah.
But, in a country like Kenya, the corruption is very accessible. As long as you have money.
You're there. You're good.
As long as you have money, you can pay a certain agency and get a job.
That's true. That's true.
In America, you can't tip the police.
You can't. No, you can't.
You can't. But
In Europe,
if you're Bill Gates and you're driving
Come on.
through a certain road, the cop would be like,
Yeah.
I really don't have to do this. And even if he did, and Bill Gates makes just one call to
That's something
certain person,
it's done.
it wouldn't even be in the records.
And I think the perfect person who's shown this, it's like, someone like Trump. Trump is like, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Him is like about his business, and he will bulldoze his way out of anything. And he will just tell you like, this is what I'm doing and how I'll do it. But it's because of money and power. But you also have to understand, like, even like, let's just say for law students, how it's sensitive for people to understand. Yes, I want to be a lawyer. Yes, I want to, but also understand things that you read in the book and understand how things on the ground are actually working. Because we also don't, and we also have to come, as dark as it gets, we also have to understand when you're dealing with like big politicians, we're dealing with people who can actually also make you disappear.
100%.
If you become too much of a nuisance, come on.
Even me in politics, the political space.
Yeah.
Even as
Very
I come
sensitive.
onto this podcast,
Yeah.
there is something I cannot say.
You can't. And even if you said it, for me, I'd be like, hey, at least it's not me saying it, it's him.
It's him.
Because I still want to keep on shooting my podcast. I don't want like tomorrow I start having like tax issues all of a sudden, like things just start popping from different places, and then I'm like, where are these things coming from, ban? But it's somebody who was, and then they say like, this is how you guys are talking.
We want to frustrate you.
We'll see. Because they won't come at you directly, but they can just even manipulate how like your money is moving, how you're making your money, how you're feeding yourself. Because like the easiest way for somebody to like just bring you down to your knees, control where his finances are coming from. Yeah. And once they have you there, like it's just now you're at their mercy.
Yeah, it's quite right. You just have to understand how everything works.
Okay, so now what advice would you have like for even like you're a student leader, so now that puts you in a position where you understand so many different things. And I think I like how you're looking at things like, okay, this is the how on papers, this is how things are, but you also have to understand like also there are so many other factors that affect what we're supposed to follow on paper. But what advice would you have for like just people who are just finishing school and they're saying like, me, I just want to be a lawyer. I want to be a lawyer because I'll get in there and make money. That's what I want. I want to wear nice suits. I want to be on TV. I want to be interviewed. I want to represent big companies. But what advice would you have for them so that they understand exactly what they're getting into, especially so far with the small or just experiences that you've had here and there with official institutions?
First of all, about making money, that is false. That is something that, by the way, you should never be getting into law with that such kind of a mindset. The only problem you're getting into law with that mindset is because of other lawyers that you've been seeing.
Akina Mutula
Kilonzo, Ahmed Nasir. All those people, but you have to understand there is a key reason as to why these people have been there. It's because they have perfected their art. They literally sit down, burning the midnight oil and trying to understand the law and all the government policies. Yeah. So if you get into a course of law, stop just falling in love with the culture of putting on suits, how the court is designed and all that. I want you to fall in love with the law. I want you to fall in love with case laws that are being presented in court. You have to have the passion for you to get somewhere in law. That is one thing. Because law is an easy course like any other, by the way. You can read 2 weeks to exam and still pass. That is what most people don't know. 100%. But the problem is, when it comes to the practicability part, you're given a platform to argue with someone.
Oh, yeah.
You'll be embarrassed.
You'll be embarrassed.
There was a time I was given an opportunity to argue with a certain lawyer. I was embarrassed.
You are not ready. You are not
I was
ready.
not ready.
You are not ready.
What is this lawyer talking about? I read this course unit, but I cannot remember what he really said. And the lawyer came up to me and told me, it's because you just read the course unit itself. If you are given a certain case and you're told, this and this case happened in here, go back to your home or your hostel, take that case, even if it's 1,000 pages like the BBI judgment, you have to read everything.
Yeah, and I think that's where now, and even when you just say something like that, I think I've seen like so many, and I said it on a previous podcast, I've seen so many people saying like, I do law, I'm doing law. And then when they get to a position where they have to do something, to go through something like KSL, or even just pass KSL, and now have to practice, after a year or two, they're done. They're just like, this is not my thing. After years of studying, money being spent on the course and everything, they're like, okay, I can't do it.
They stop. In fact, the reason why I've said at universities it's easier, you can read that and all that, but at Kenya School of Law, it's where now they incorporate the practicability and also the theoretical part of it now. That is the point where now everything starts, where now you just have to read and fall in love.
Push you to the wall to make sure.
100%. Because the way it is designed in KSL is not more of a theoretical basis, whereby they give you a certain topic. You are taught a certain topic in class. But then they will ask you a certain question when it comes to examination that is going to make sure, it's going to test other areas that relate to the topic itself that is not specifically taught in school. So that is why when it reaches to Kenya School of Law, a lot of people drop out. Or a lot of people have trouble finishing.
It's the one place that I hear law students, they're really, that's why it filters out now people.
It filters out people 100%. So that is why I'm saying in law, you just have to read and understand. The hardest part about law is legal research. Because the legal research, let's say I would want to represent you as my client and you have a certain case maybe to do with killing someone. You might find a case which is in relation to the situation that is there, but the case is about 1,000 pages. During the 1,000 pages, you're going to be finding other cases. Other cases within the cases that you have to read those cases in order for you to understand a certain concept. So it's always about reading. You have to sit down and read.
Don't glorify just the other things that you sing outside.
No.
Because like you've said, when you go to the court, the other person has come with their lawyer as well.
Who are good.
Who they've really done their research, homework, and they are more experienced.
There is this quote, and just out of jokes, it says that the judge is just there to determine who has the best lawyer.
Because it will definitely be displayed.
It will be displayed
by the lawyers there.
That's the way you have said it. That's the real reason why you have to read, because you'll find someone who's better than you. That's why I was embarrassed at that time. I say this, he counteracts and he tells me you've stated the wrong law. I say this case, he tells me, this case, it was already stated to be unconstitutional by another court. What are you saying inside here? You're misleading us.
And you can only imagine if you're already like in that situation, everybody else is looking at you, waiting for you to respond.
Oh my God.
And you have zero response because you're like, I actually didn't research on that.
It's good I'm a student at that time, but you were like, I read this thing at a certain course unit. What happened? He's telling me this thing was repealed a long time. You do not do your research. Go back and read.
And then that puts you in a position where I would never want to be in such a situation again, unprepared, because I'll be representing a very big client at that time. Or a law firm. So it's not just about you letting yourself down, but a law firm that actually trusted you with a project. They said, you're going to take up on this client, and then you go and act like you don't know anything to do with law.
Somebody presents something, but you cannot even counteract it. Because you do not have the enough research, or you present something in court that is out of date, or it is irrelevant to the case. That is why you have to be constantly reading. That is why look at the acts such as the finance. if you are going to be arguing about commercial matters,
Yeah.
you must have read the financial bill well. You must have read the cases that are in court today concerning the financial bill itself. Look at that. It is evolving. You have to be doing research and reading all the time.
Also, another thing, I mean, sorry to bring up her name, of course, but, Heshimiwa, like Karen Nyamu was interviewed by bloggers, and she said, like, some of you guys are
She's
just...
a lawyer.
That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going with this. And she said, some of you guys are complaining, and these things won't even affect you. And I was just in shock because I was like, because of course it's somebody that I know as well, but I was just in shock because I was like, okay, I can't believe she said that, because like it actually affects each and every single person in every direction that you can think of. Because even when we're talking about like even NHIF, think about like these mothers who are like even going to hospital and they have to give birth. They're going in maternity wards, they have to give birth, and you're showing up with that NHIF card.
Exactly.
Buying medicine, buying food for their kids. And we're just talking about entry-level problems. Ordinary Mwananchi is always complaining. If you go to public hospitals, you see like these people have to queue for crazy lines just to access like basic medical care, or just because this is what they can afford. And at times even like, just because you can't afford a certain medical treatment, somebody ends up like, your loved one ends up like passing away. And even when somebody says something like that, you have to understand like it really means that you actually just don't care. You just really don't care about like your people. And it's unfortunate because people on the ground, because like I would want to say like I'm in a fairly better position, but because I see like when some people are saying like, we can't really afford X, Y, and Z. Like there's somebody like on my podcast comment section, we're talking about the average salary, and somebody said, my salary is 9,000. And I was like, and for me, I was like, okay, I hope you're joking. And then the person said like, yo, bro, I'm actually not joking. My salary is 9,000. And so I told him like, you really mean to tell me like, you're able to pay rent, feed yourself? And he said, yeah. He said like, that's what I pay for rent, food, utilities, and it's supposed to push me to the next month. And I was just like, this is so unfortunate and sad, because I can only imagine such a person is waiting for someone in a position to represent their voices. And then the person in such a position would say like, this thing that doesn't even affect you. Just stop complaining.
That's why I said.
Very sensitive and very unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. You've said she's a lawyer. I've also said it. That's what I've told you. You can become a lawyer.
Actually,
very
true.
easy.
Very true.
But
you
the problem
is,
which type of lawyer are you?
Actually, true.
That's why she's a lawyer, yes, but now compare her to other legislators who are lawyers who have read. People like Edwin Sifuna.
Yeah. I don't think he would say, I don't think such a statement would come from him, because he wouldn't. Because it feels like even betrayal when somebody says something like that. You're like, what do you mean? This is how you think.
In fact, if he was given that chance, he would break down the bill very well.
Properly.
Because he has sat down and read the bill. He would say, this is what is happening, this will affect us. This is what we have benefited from it. This is how we're supposed to be.
Actually, I could tell she hasn't read the bill
Definitely.
After she said that. Because I was like, I believe she's smarter than that.
She of course, she's smart. She is smart.
Because I could only tell, like, what I picked from that statement is like, she hasn't read the bill.
But she hasn't. She hasn't read the bill.
Because if she had read, she would have responded in a certain way, which would have put her like in a very... Or even should have just said like, I can't comment on that right now, because like there's still more things that me and my team are researching on before we start making statements about the bill and how it can favor like people that I'm representing. There's a way she would have just put that in, because the way she said it casually, it was just like, oh my God, I can't believe like these are just our political leaders. It's unfortunate because like even politics is supposed to push people in those positions to actually even just go out and enlighten yourself a bit more. It's okay for me not to read it, but if you're representing the people...
You have to read it.
You have to.
You have to,
You have
absolutely.
to, because you have press conferences to
Because,
go to.
Yeah, you like you said, she's smart, but
Yeah.
there are certain things that you cannot answer if you have knowledge based on it.
Yes.
You cannot just show up impromptu and try applying your intelligence quotient and say this and that.
Yeah.
Of course, you can get away around it, but you really just have to read it. And that is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
She did not even have time maybe to sit down and read the bill,
Yeah.
maybe know about its impacts.
Mm-hmm.
And just all that. That is the reason why she said that this thing does not really affect you Kenyans. We are taxing the rich people.
I was just like, rich people don't even, I mean, listen, I don't even want to get into that because, like, people who hold higher assets, they get less tax. Just for people to understand, like, and people who are doing like 8 to 5s, unfortunately, your taxes will always be like way much higher than the tax reliefs that wealthy people are getting. If somebody is invested like in bonds and you tell me like you're including like, I want to introduce a 5% tax and somebody is worth billions. Let's say an example would be NCBA dividends for Uhuru, of course, former president, was coming up to like 950. That's personal investment. This has nothing to do with anything. I'm just talking. I'll give an example. Somebody who's getting like 900 million and something, like close to $1 billion on dividends. If you introduce 5%, what's 5%?
Very little to them.
What's 5% to that? If
Now
such a person is getting that, if they are buying government bonds, I'm assuming they invest like even close to 2 or 3 billion, and you invest and you're introducing 5%.
Now introduce that 5% to someone who's getting 10,000.
Come on, he's done.
He would feel it.
He's done.
100%.
He's done.
That 5%.
Even 20,000 done.
Fueling it's his Wi-Fi. It's
Yeah.
a lot to him.
Yeah,
So it's true. The system is designed to obviously oppress people below the pyramid.
yeah,
100%. And the problem with even these billionaires, as we're seeing across the world, not even just in Kenya,
yeah,
is that they have found ways to manipulate how the tax system works
yeah,
so that at the end of it all, they're not paying taxes.
yeah. There are so many loopholes that they can use, especially because they have more.
Yeah,
They have
more.
They have more.
So they can get the facilities if it is setting up offshore accounts,
Yes.
if it is getting holding companies, trustees and all that. Of course, it in some sense, you feel like you can do it as a normal person. You
can't.
feel. But can you access a Swiss bank?
No. They won't even. First of all, they ask you, who are you?
Who are you?
Even if you have the money, they'll be like, who are you exactly? We can't. You can't even go and just open a Swiss account.
You can't.
You can't.
Somebody like
Actually, Andrew Tate was saying it was difficult for him to do that. So imagine.
he was told, "Who are you? We
Yeah.
do not take money that is gotten from I don't know, strip clubs."
Yes.
And all
It's
that.
like, we know you have money, but we can't just take your money. Exactly. Just strip clubs, cam chat, and whatever you're doing out there. We do not want your money.
And
Just
he has millions of dollars.
Exactly.
So somebody like Uhuru can get it very easily. You've heard about the Pandora Papers,
Yeah.
in which Uhuru, Bill Clinton, Russian president, it is elites that were
Yeah.
implicated in this,
Yeah.
whereby they were having certain offshore accounts
Yeah.
in which they put huge amounts of money, and it was hidden from the world and so many banking system. You cannot really access that as a normal person.
You can't.
If Uhuru goes to there and he tells them, you know what, my family is a multi-billion investments in Kenya. They have multi-billion investment. We influence the political space in Kenya.
Yeah. I
Just by the power of it, you're given opportunity.
I think Uhuru was one of the smartest presidents in how he was moving, because like even when people are like just talking about like would accuse him of something, for me I'd always tell people like, okay, let's break it down.
Yeah.
If you say maybe he's stolen like 100 million,
Yeah.
and his dividends from one company are 1 billion, it actually makes no sense for you to accuse him for something like that.
Doesn't.
So the levels where he is, like even in how he's moving, and that's why I'm always saying like money is so strange, especially when you're talking to like about the elite people, because we're talking about amounts that even my mind can't process. Because this journalist releases like a certain article and says That he's implicated, maybe he stole X amount of money. But just the money he's making from milk only in this country.
Just
milk. Forget about like other institutions. Just milk. It doesn't even come close to that. So like even if he asks you like surely, I mean, what are we talking about? If milk only can make this X amount of money.
A very big company. In fact, Brookside itself is estimated to be one of the biggest milk processing companies in Africa.
There you go.
Just see that.
There you go.
And it's good you've also mentioned it. And that's the reason why it was good to have Uhuru than maybe Ruto. Because he had it all.
There's so much that, like, even just think about, like, even like, let's not even get, like, somebody who's, the airport is actually named. It's a family name. If you're in Switzerland, if you're in Germany, if you're booking a flight coming to Kenya, you understand the name that you're booking with is Jomo Kenyatta
His
International.
father.
Listen, it's just a different ball game. And that's why, like, I think even for me, I was just saying, like, when he was asked about the price of bread, I think he said 500. But you have to understand why he thinks it's 500. He comes from a completely different playing field.
Yeah. So
he has no reason to steal money. That's because his passive income is crazy.
Fact, one of the real reasons why they had to front Uhuru was just because it's also crucial for Kenyatta family to control the political space.
True.
In order for their businesses to run smoothly, their existing businesses to run smoothly.
Which are very big that they can't just be shut down.
Yeah,
the whole country will be in
there are a lot
shambles.
of people who have issues with the Kenyatta family. So you do not want the wrong president there.
Yeah.
You do not want someone who is not aligning with their interests. So that's the reason why Uhuru was mainly there.
Yeah.
But the problem with getting someone who does not have the wealth.
They're coming to revenge. They're coming to revenge.
They want to be in line with you. He will say, in the next 5 years that I'm holding this position, I would have a certain net worth, more than you.
Yeah. He's trying as much as possible to get at least, because let's be honest, like the Kenyatta family, that's a legacy name that will stay here for a very long time. Understand when you're using the road, when you're using here across we start like Uhuru Gardens, like even at times you forget like it's actually someone's name. Yeah. But understand like the legacy that has already been set, it came with a very calculated move. Especially considering like that even Kenyatta wasn't here for a very long time to actually see a lot of the things that he introduced take place. Yeah. That's why I always talk. And it's also like a lot of people never want to talk about politics, but you have to understand like politics is so interesting because it affects our daily life. We can't just say like, me spending kuongea about politics, but it affects your everyday life and you need to understand like how people move the way they move.
That's what most ladies say. In fact, well, I'm just casually, of course, not dressed in suits and everything or have my hair like this. When you're just out with the ladies and they ask, what do you love? And you tell them, you know what? I love leadership. I love politics. I'm like, no, politics does not really affect me.
What? It affects
they
everything.
Don't really know.
That's crazy, yeah.
That is where the money is.
That's where the money
That is where the law is. Anything they say will directly affect you. You might not see it.
Even your eyelashes, your wigs. Did you hear like when things are being introduced, like we'll start taxing weaves, we'll start taxing.
If you go with a lady to a wig shop, then she's surprised, oh, this wig is so expensive. You tell her, this wig, there was a certain tax that was introduced to importing this wig. That's why you're paying it.
I've asked to buy, I've been asked to buy a wig before, and I just said like, no, I'm not doing that. And when we're talking about such things, this is what we're talking about. Because like I was sent, and then somebody said like, it's only 25,000. And then I looked at the person, I'm like, okay, I'm glad for you to think that I have the money. Yeah. But there is no way in hell I would pay 25,000 for it. But there's some people who are actually buying them.
Yeah, definitely.
But you also have to understand like it affects what we're talking about. Because maybe that hair was probably 15 and because of some reasons on adjustments on like shipping, taxes introduced, came to X amount of money. Yeah. But anyway, those people who are buying waves out there, I respect you as well. But anyway, here's the thing. I would want us to continue and go on, But I would want us to actually do this, like maybe even if it's once a month, we can break down something to do with the law and things that affect students. So I don't want to exhaust everything right now.
Yeah.
I would rather, like, once a month, if you have something, why not just pass by and we can break it down? Because like we've said, law and politics will never go out of fashion, because every single month, every other week, there's something new that's being introduced and that's happening in the country.
Yeah.
So why not?
It's important. Yeah, anytime we have to discuss about these things, especially as young people.
Yes.
People should understand, especially young people. Let me tell you, you can be cool at the same time and still understand things about politics and law.
Yes.
That is one thing most people don't understand. If you tell someone, I love politics and all that, you're so boring. You're so uncool.
You just won't talk about politics. But that's when that's when we're talking about think about it. The simplest way I'm always telling people is like, do you love money? Yes.
No.
So that's what you need to focus on. Understand, at least even if it's not you being involved directly, understand what people are talking about.
Yeah.
Just
understand about the economy, understand about the political space, the leadership, the system of how the world works. If you never cared about politics, you would have not known about people forming offshore accounts and trust and everything. So
financial institutions. Yeah. Financial institutions. We can think about even and we're about to wrap it up, definitely. Think about things like even the cryptocurrency coming into the financial institution space, the laws and regulations that have to be introduced in a country for it to operate. You can't just ignore things that are happening, because where now you see even people, the way people used to generate wealth, kitambo, is slightly different. It's changing. You could have an upper hand just because you have information that other people or the masses are just taking for granted.
Yeah.
So if you're first in line to understand things that are happening, you can take advantage of whether it's your business, a strategic financial move that would put you in a financially better position. So we can't just take things for granted, because definitely politics affects every single thing. That's why you can be able to walk outside of your house and feel free. That's why you can go to Twitter and tag the vice president, and even attack how he's dressed today. We don't like your fashion suits, we don't like your shoes, or sijui that bag you carried. You try that in another country. And that's why you need to understand the laws, how they work, so that even if, and that's a perfect example why I brought the Ian Njoroge case. And also, I wanted just people to understand even importance of guys to control even just the emotional intelligence. Yeah. You see, it's what he did, at least know that we're in a country where now this is up for discussion and everything. Look at a space where black Americans, when you just asked for a driving license and you're about to remove it from your pocket like this, and you're shot. You're shot. Think about if Ian, and I'm just saying this is just an example. Think about it if maybe he's set free and everything, but if let's say he lands in America, he needs to understand as a black person, you cannot for a second think of even looking at a cop badly with a suggestive manner, because he is ready. And Kenyan cops are actually nice. Let me just put one thing that I can, even just as I'm still explaining that, we have some of the best policemen in the world. Yeah. Because before a Kenyan cop takes a gun like this to shoot someone, you have to be a notorious thug. A very notorious one. A notorious thug. Otherwise, for you can wrestle with them, you can and remember, they can still take that weapon and shoot you, by the way.
You can argue with them.
You can argue. You can do all the things. Even now, you can put them on TikTok and Cops will always control themselves, till they really need to get physical. Yeah. This slapping and trust me, that's a pass. Because other countries, they shoot you or they put you inside and the fines are crazy. You get 10, 15 years, 20 years.
It's easier for them to shoot you than to slap you. And the law protects them for doing that. Yeah. Resisting arrest, reasonable doubt to do sijui he shoots you. He was escalating the situation. Yeah. Sir, stop escalating the situation, take out a gun, shoot you.
And this happens. Just small things. Just understand, we have cops. I think there's also a video I saw. I don't know if you saw this. There's, I think, cops who had come. They had been called, and they had come to try and dissolve a situation where there were some girls or ladies who were drunk and disorderly in some certain apartments.
Yeah.
So I could see the cop is actually holding a gun. Remember, this is a cop who's holding like something like that looks like an AK-47, right?
Yeah.
And then this lady proceeds to slap the cop
Just
and jump on him. And actually, the cop is wrestling with the girl, like even putting her aside. The cop actually had to go, take the gun and put aside so that the friend can come in, so that he can actually... In the States, you need to understand, you're dead. You're dead immediately. You're dead.
Yeah,
dead.
but as long as you're making any effort to try to reach to him even physically, he's allowed to just take the gun and shoot you. Fuck, most of them do that.
Actually, they'd be like, why am I wasting my time? They'll just shoot you, and it's like, okay, sawa, you resisted, you tried to attack me or reach to my weapon. So all those things. So also, like, we're not saying like Kenyan cops are bad, but understand, we have a culture that we have to deal with it. But let's also not downplay the passes that Kenyan cops give us.
Yeah, you have seen about this shooting that happened in...
Was it
Makadara?
The magistrate was...
The magistrate was shot, and who came to the aid to protect the magistrate? The cops.
The cops.
So what happened is that the magistrate was shot.
Yeah.
The magistrate, let me just take it back a little bit.
Okay.
There was a ruling. It was just about detention and everything to do with bond and bail. So the wife of the OCS had been having a certain case where she obtained 1.25 million through false pretense.
Okay.
So there was supposed to be a ruling. She was freed on bond, but there was supposed to be a ruling on the forfeiture of the bond because she did not turn up in court. And she gave a reason during the first hearing. She said that she was in hospital, she had cancer, and she was
receiving treatment.
Yeah, receiving treatment and all that. But when the IO was sent to investigate the documents of the hospital, it was found to be fake. She absconded court willingly.
Okay.
So the husband is an OCS, and he also came there. And because he was frustrated, and you just also know the mentality that he had is also an OCS. Why is the judge treating him like that? So the judge went on to rule and say that you lied before the court and you are under oath. We have taken the bond. We have forfeited it to the state. That is where the husband got hungry. So while the magistrate was getting out, it was in a tent because there were so many people interested in the case. So while the magistrate was getting out, the cop also followed him. And he started shooting at the magistrate. The magistrate was shot almost 3 times. It was with an intention of killing the magistrate. Guess who sprang up to save the magistrate?
The cops.
2 cops sprang up.
Who are also hurt in that.
They were hurt. They were shot. One was shot in the leg. Another one was shot in the belly.
Yeah.
And they helped the magistrate, protecting him, guarding her. It was a her.
Yeah.
Guarding her. And she did not die because of that. And the cop was also shot.
You see, that's why I'm talking about. Like, you know, I would never... The only thing that I'm always saying is like, for me, I just stay out of the way of cops.
Yeah.
Just let them do their job. And also understand they're also coming up with... they have their own personal frustrations. We understand they're also always trying to get their salaries.
They're not paid enough.
They're not paid enough. Even just to deal with what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
Look at their working conditions, even living conditions. Let's just think about it.
If you go to even a police camp, they literally live in, I don't know what, mabati or something.
And some even have the splitted room things
Just
for
look at that.
different families. So you also have to put into consideration for what they have to process every single day, what they're dealing with. And also, we can't just say like that thing, and that's why I was saying like I didn't want to celebrate that thing because a lot of people are celebrating.
Yeah.
Because for me, I was like, you know, we also have to understand like we actually live in a country where you can just walk around. You know, it's safe. It's safe, to say the least. Like, of course, there are some places where they are dangerous. But to be fair enough, like, Kenya is actually, like, just a safe country. Of course, if you're going to Northeastern, there are some places where, like, you'll have, like, you know,
Kenya is generally safe.
If you compare to other places, even in London, people are getting stabbed just in the middle of the street.
Kenya is safer than the UK.
In the States, we're talking about in a country where you can go and buy a gun. And I can go and buy a gun. I have an ID in it. I can just go and buy it. I have what is it called? The right to bear a firearm. And even just show it here. So imagine I find somebody cheating on my girlfriend cheating on
And
me.
you're provoked.
And I'm provoked.
Or you get into a fight with someone in a club, a simple fight.
Shoot.
And he shoots you.
Yeah.
It can't happen in Kenya.
It doesn't.
Because even the
doesn't.
laws are stricter for you to own a firearm.
To own a firearm. It's not just for everyone. So like just understand, like we also have like the cops have also done like a really good job for us to feel safe, to talk the way we want, to express ourselves, to go where we want. We can take road trips here and there. Let's not forget about the good things that other countries lack and they are really suffering from because their cops do things differently from ours. Yeah. So we just need to figure out how to coexist. Cops are not bad people. We do have bad cops. We have good cops. We have bad people and we have good people. But we still have to maintain a way that we can coexist. But the only way that peace, remember, the only way that peace is there is because there's this person with a gun who's there to protect and serve you as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's definitely true. That is why I also made a video on my TikTok just reiterating. I had addressed the media about Ian Njoroge, but it was just a small part of it. That's why I had to go to TikTok back and tell people, you know what? We were just not supporting the injustice.
Yeah.
Like if Njoroge, yes, did it, he has to be punished by law.
Yeah.
He has to go to prison. But you cannot torture someone.
Yeah.
That is something that was done in the medieval times and we are way over it. Yeah. If you're torturing someone, then what is the need of the judicial system itself to punish him through prison? Yeah. So I was not supporting the injustice itself. That is why I reiterated and said it was also wrong for Njoroge to beat up someone who's defenseless. Also when in law and you're relying something about self-defense, it has a limit. Yeah. If someone is incapacitated and he cannot move, if you continue beating him up, then it becomes unlawful now.
And you know why it's even very sensitive? People don't understand, like, what if that cop died?
Exactly.
You know how, like, this story would have been completely different. It would have been so bad for him, so bad. Because, like, even if it's the law and everything, I don't know how much amount of money he would have paid to get out of that. But trust me, it would have been horrible.
It would have been horrible. Even just morally wrong, a lot of people would not have sided with him.
Of course.
That is 100%. Because they would now start thinking about the family of the person, of which we have seen he was aged about 50 years or something. It would have been completely different. That's why we just have to critically look at certain things.
Think about them, man. It's not just about what we see, what the law is, what's for entertainment.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, remember, if he's given like a bail of 700,000, what if the family doesn't have that? Like we've said, so many other situations, there are people who are still inside because that bail amount even, and the hearing keeps being pushed forward and forward. And like we said, let's also not forget the culture and country that we're in. There are so many other things that can be shifted to go sideways so that you can serve as an example to your friends and those people who are cheering online, because people can cheer you online. But what if he has to serve 5 years inside? Will they be with you in committee? No, in fact, you go inside, the next day, people have moved to a different topic of discussion. So let's not get caught up with the hype of what the internet is as well, but also just think about like what's right. Because like I think 2 days later, there's somebody who had beaten like a female cop.
Yeah, it happened again.
And Paka, I'm like, yo, come on. Now, this is just being ridiculous because understand, they are not your enemies. And there are ways of, and that's why I keep saying, like, just go back to emotional intelligence. And let me even say, like, even as men, we can control the situation before it gets too bad. Yeah.
In fact, that's the best aspect about emotional intelligence. Even I say right now, even if someone was to kill my beloved in front of me, I would not be provoked to the sense that I would kill him. Yeah. I would understand the situation, even though maybe trying to confront him or everything. But I still understand the consequences myself of what is going to be there. That any type of provocation cannot lead me to do something that is inconsequential to the real situation. So even no matter how I was provoked by that police at that time, I would have said something, yes. But to the point I'm beating him up and everything, no. That is where now emotional intelligence is also important.
In fact, when was the last time you've ever seen something like that? I can't remember. I cannot remember, like, and understand just because him he did that, but also understand how it puts other young people and men at risk. Because now cops will be like, now we can't have this happen again.
Yeah.
Because like a perfect example was like, I think, who was it? Is it Babu who said it? He said like, okay, if a cop is being beaten like this, sasa wakienda Haiti, how they, and now imagine like the whole, even just think about it, even like the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He's looking at it, he's like, okay, police, we can't have anyone beating up the cops. Now they put instructions to them probably where they're like, if anybody tries to do anything physically to you, shoot.
You see that we don't want that in Kenya.
We
That's what's
don't.
happening
Are you
in
ready
America.
for? That's what I'm saying. Like, are people ready for that? Because if that's implemented, then what next?
What next?
What
Because
next?
if now they're given orders, now that there is
Yeah.
unlawfulness and there is imminent danger to the police, in case of anything,
Shoot.
just shoot.
Yeah, shoot.
I believe that is something we do not want.
We
in
don't.
Kenya.
We don't want that. Trust me, we don't want. So let's just think about like how, as men, and especially young men, we're going through so much stuff, but we can control a lot of things because it all starts like just from the head. Just control yourself. Just learn how to control and contain yourself. Because and like I've said, like there are so many things that I want us to touch on, but we definitely have to wrap it up for now.
Yeah.
Because let's let people digest this and save the next. We can do something else also.
Yeah,
like
we can
this
do
next
something
month, right?
else. Yes, politics, anything. In fact,
Yeah.
it's just not limited to politics. Even
Yeah.
relationships and all
Relationships. But we still have to tie them to the law because why? Why?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's something that you are more passionate about, and you're able to open doors to people to understand. Like we've had people in these relationships, boyfriends throwing girls out of balconies every other
I've
day.
been to family courts.
Now,
It's
there we go.
even interesting.
There we go. So that's why I'm saying, like, all those things will help people just understand different ways on how to deal with. And even if somebody is caught up in something, how is it best for them to approach the situation using the law? Because, like, even for me, if something bad happens right now, I don't know if I call 911, will they respond to my nini like we see in the movies?
Yeah.
Or am I supposed to like wait until it happens and then go and look for cops at the closest police station? Like, how are people just supposed to approach different things? And I think like a lot of us don't really know how to go about it. So if you're open to doing that, let's just make it a regular thing, and we can able to break down a lot of different things for people to understand.
Yeah, no problem. In fact, this is my first time on the podcast. And the next time on the podcast, if you are having anything, I will come very well prepared. Yeah. And at least I believe it would be more interesting, as I would have already gotten used to the place, the podcast, the setup, and also my host here today. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to having very meaningful conversation, very interesting, very fun in the next period that I'll be coming here.
I appreciate that. So now, without further ado, just tell the people where they can find you, what else you have going on, on your platforms, what they can look out for as we just say goodbye.
So you can find me on all social media platforms, any Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, just by my official names, Adrian Oluoch. On all platforms, you can find me there, because I'm also starting to become active on these social media platforms. I wasn't there for a long time, but now I've started becoming active, especially TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Have been there in Twitter, but TikTok and Instagram, kindly go and follow me there. And also, let's connect. And I also want to connect with my followers during this time when you're going to be having the podcast, and also when I graduate and become a lawyer, so that we can also provide services for each other.
Yeah,
right?
you're doing a really good job.
Yeah.
Really doing a good job. And I see, you're in a very nice position, in the future. So I wish you nothing but the best.
Yeah.
But until next time, let's figure out when we can do the next one.
Okay.
Right? The Kisscapades podcast is your gateway to holistic growth and personal transformation. Together we'll unlock the secrets to living a life of health, wealth, love, and happiness. So make sure to tune in every week and join us as we explore the essence of what it means to truly thrive. And lastly, show us some love and support in our social media platforms from Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, basically all the social media platforms that support podcasting will definitely be there. Even with the short clips and reels, you can find us there. And lastly, don't be shy with feedback, suggestions, or any questions that you might have in regards to the episodes or our podcast. It's the Kisscapades Podcast. Goodbye.